Ever since I stopped uploading videos frequently, I'd often think of a new script, and in every new script, I'd have a joke about how many ideas I had before I had finally settled on one, and how vastly different each one was, and something about the thought that I had so many choices and I went with something bizarre was always funny to me. I'd also fantasize about ending each section with, "I'm finally back, guys." And being able to say that it's all finally worked out and saying I'll eventually make a video about it, like getting all my thoughts together, explaining what happened and how I got over it. But I'm just holding it off till, I've figured it out. And as the days went by, I kept asking myself, why can't I do it? I mean, I sit down and I write a little bit. I tried to make a video once before, failed, decided to remake it with footage of me, for which I ended up making that one video where I revealed myself. And I was proud of myself for having done a video that felt good to watch to me, but then when I sat down to remake the video that it originally was for, it didn't really feel good, right? Like I realized the footage that I was using of me, I couldn't use it in any meaningful way, and either way, it was a really boring video to watch no matter what I tried to do with it. And I didn't really want to make a video without the footage because then that last video felt stupid, but again, either way, I just couldn't make a good video there. And in the midst of all that, that video about the reveal ended up becoming the last video that I made for a while. I was sitting around the day that I was writing the script here on 17 September 2024, and I asked myself, what am I really doing? I think I gave up on thinking I could make it in YouTube ages ago, right when I found out that you can't really make video off of Patreon and stuff in this country. So I talked to my mom about wanting to do this at some point around that time, and I was hoping that she'd get it, right? But she didn't get it. She really didn't get it. In fact, she was like, are you sure about this, right? And she explained to me why it's a bad idea, and listening to her, I realized that it is actually kind of a bad idea because I'm not going to be able to make nearly enough to survive. And it wasn't really surprising, really, because it took so much to build my confidence and to do this in the first place. So the fact that it took just, a few things to like break it all apart was probably just to be expected, really. What I didn't realize was that it really was just the conviction that I had that I can do this that made me so good at this. Like, I mean, I was making bi-weekly videos for a good few months. I mean, considering ADHD, that's incredible progress, considering I was also not doing too bad with my college work at the time. So was that it? Like, I mean, you're probably thinking the same thing that I was, right? So what, they're just gonna give up just because they can't make money from this? And it wasn't what I thought of at first, but I did eventually think of it. I mean, what drove me to do this anyway? Like, why was I even here? It was in December of 2023 that a friend told me that she had a YouTube channel, and at the time I had an old one which was pretty dead and I wasn't really doing much with it, but I always kind of had an interest in doing stuff like this. So I looked at her and I was like, you know what, I should get back into it. And I knew that if I tried hard enough, I could do it again. Like, no matter, this depression bullshit. I mean, it's all in your head, isn't it? At the time I was studying for the last year of my engineering degree for computer science, right? And I was pretty unhappy with it. Like, I like computers, but I just hate the industry like so much. It's filled with tech bro grifters, and I just don't get along with the others much in this sphere at all. And I always wanted to do something artistic, right? And I didn't want to do computer science. I just wanted to do any kind of art at all, but I don't have the skills or talent required for that. So I just, it was like a natural calling to go to YouTube for me. /J, by the way. Yeah, this shit does take effort. I'm not dissing on anyone. So slowly, sometime in February of this year, or 2024, I was fully convinced that I could do this. And it was also like the hatred that I had for life that became so much stronger that, I was like, fine, I'll just give it a shot. I thought that if I can get YouTube working, then eventually I could do something else, like I can start drawing, I can start making movies, I can start making games, I can use YouTube to promote that, and I could just become whatever I wanted. Anything better than making the technology that was gonna ruin society that felt so much more satisfying. And in a way, I think going into art of all things, especially around the time when AI art was like, going ramp up, I feel like that made me feel like I was, in a way, fighting back against it, so it felt really satisfying at the time. But I wasn't completely blinded by the fact that I needed money to survive, so the way I used to make videos back then, or at least the mindset that I had, was that I had to make things that spoke to me, but also were things that people cared about. And I had to find that balance of making something good that is appealing to others, but also good in the sense that it appeals to me. And I feel like I didn't really succeed with making the videos themselves quite good, and they didn't really, always get the attention that I wanted them to, but they were still satisfying to me, and that is more important than anything else, so I was fine with it. As time went by, I started to realize, like, I'm running out of time, right? I don't have too much time before I need to start earning. And the anxiety that came from that started settling in, and I couldn't keep thinking about, okay, well, that's fine, I'm just having fun, that's all there is to it. Because, I need to survive some way or another, right? That's where the burnout came in. The problem really starts as time goes by, and my last exams roll around, my final exams for, my entire college life. And I realize I'm really running out of time now. In hindsight, it was clear to see what I did wrong, and my fear that I'm not gonna make it in time. I shift my video schedule from making one video in 2 weeks to making a video every single week. Right when I had my final exams, that I was not prepared for, that I really had to study for. What I decided to do was push my workload further by 2 times in midst of all the studying that I had to do. Amazing idea, isn't it? Naturally, I couldn't do it. I gave my exams, but I was defeated. I felt awful. I had failed at what I should have done, and here it was. My channel sat at under 200 subscribers, and I was out of college, and nothing had really gone my way. I spent the next few weeks trying to fix myself. I went on a road trip, which somehow made me feel worse when I thought it was the cure. I tried to start journaling, I tried to fix other issues with me, like realizing nothing I do was for my own pleasure and how life had just become work and nothing else. And I don't even know what I like doing anymore. I realized how much anger I have at the world around me, and try to learn to be a kinder and more compassionate person, and things, that weren't even related to my videos, just things I knew I had to work on. Because I was so desperate to get back to where I was, and I was so proud of myself for having gotten that far, but I couldn't get back to it, and yet, I just look at myself and I wasn't making any progress. I did make a few videos at this time, but I could feel myself failing. Like, the videos just didn't have that spark anymore. No one was watching them, no one was enjoying them, and I wasn't enjoying them, and I just knew I wasn't doing it anymore. I didn't have it in me, I think, to consistently make bi-weekly videos for months, and it was all gone, I was slowly slipping back into the husk of person that I always knew I was. That road trip especially was so disappointing, man, because I thought it would help, because go outside, get away from everything, but I think being stuck in the passenger seat of a car with your thoughts was probably not something I needed in that moment. I really just wanted to get back to my computer. I almost had a mental breakdown by the end of it. It was really not fun. It's funny making videos on games when I don't even enjoy games anymore. No shit, I didn't like Metroid Zero Mission. What do I even like, Of course you didn't. Genius, man. I remember making a video on game burnout, and I think it was a few weeks after that I kept thinking about it, and I realized, it's not game burnout, man. It's just burnout. You're just not happy with life in general. You just don't enjoy anything. And it was hard to accept, but that's kind of how it was. I was just depressed, unfortunately. I've been writing the script as a ramble, and I've now reached the point where I go, what now? So naturally, I end up procrastinating. Possibly the worst performing video on my channel is also the one that possibly took the most effort. It's a video about Dead Poet Society. In reality, the video where I talk about the movie itself is an unlisted video linked in the video itself. Instead, the video that is actually up there is something of a failed attempt at trying to understand my view on the debates around the movie. I loved the movie, so it was hard to argue for or against it. And as I was looking around these points, something I saw mentioned was Keating's misinterpretation of the poem The Road Not Taken. Funnily enough, as I typed this, I initially typed the title as The Road Less Taken. But that's why Keating was wrong as well, and so were many people. Because the last line of the poem go, Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. This is often taken as a praise of individualism and how taking the less taken route is a great thing to do. This is what Keating says in the movie too, and the me from back then who was doing exactly that, going off the path of engineering to do YouTube and eventually art, I knew I was onto something, and when I found these actual academics saying that this was wrong, I well, that doesn't really feel very comforting, does it? Well, here we are to now, a few hours after failing to write this script, that I ended up somehow looking up the meaning of the song that had nothing to do with the previously mentioned Dead Poet Society video or even this video, and I'd forgotten all about this, so I have no idea why I was looking up the meaning of this poem actually, but here I was, reading an article explaining what the poem is actually about. And somehow, as I write this script, I'd made a new discovery. The road not taken isn't about the road less taken that the writer takes. It's about the road that the writer didn't take. It's about the regret that comes from not having taken a road and how we retroactively make our current choice look better and glorify ourselves. And in my opinion, also about how we do the latter out of the guilt and fear of not having taken the other road. So we try to convince ourselves that we made the right choice and we've made all the difference. I know I do the thing where I retroactively change stories to fit narratives better. I'm sure I've done it now in this video, honestly. Small changes to the story that fit the narrative better eventually become so indistinguishable from the truth. And I mean, come on, as someone who has to tell the story here, it's hard not to end up doing that. But further, this is a problem I face right now. I'm sitting at a place in life where I have multiple paths, and I don't know which to take. Everything looks awful, nothing is going to work out, I'm lazy, have unmedicated ADHD, probably never going to come out of the closet, I'm honestly quite possibly just going to die, disappointed. But then again, why did I even do this in the first place? Outside of realizing I might have a realistic chance at doing this, which I didn't in hindsight, I did this because I love getting my thoughts out there. I love talking about things that touched me. I realized at some point I was desperately taking notes and trying to come up with things to say, rather than saying what's on my mind. That was possibly my biggest mistake. In trying to be professional and capture all of my thoughts, I let go of the original fun of this. Just talking, for fun. I think I'll learn how to make good videos eventually, but I didn't make this channel to make good videos, I just made it so I can ramble about things, honestly. I think a major reason why I felt like doing that was because I wanted to capture every single thought and memory I had. I didn't want to feel like I didn't talk about everything I felt during the time with whatever it is I'm talking about. But ultimately, in trying to be aware of what I'm feeling, I kind of struggle to even feel the things, you know? Like, you're so busy observing yourself that you just can't be yourself. It's a compromise. I mean, I can't record everything that happens, but those memories are mine. What I give to the world is simply my recollection, not the experience itself. When I went on my last road trip, I told myself I'd feel better during it, and I didn't. I had a breakdown and just wanted to get back home to my computer again. The second road trip was recent. At the time of writing the video, it was about a little over a week ago. On this road trip, I was the one driving, actually. It's the first time I was driving for a long road trip like this one. I've only been driving for, I don't know, 3 months maybe. So I was driving for like 4 days, like most of 4 days. I was getting good enough sleep at night, but the most of the day was spent driving. Somehow I really felt quite good during this period actually. My mind was completely consumed by driving and looking at the beauty around me, which somehow just worked wonders for me. Even the day before the road trip, I had to sleep early, right? I had to start driving at like 3 a.m. and my sleep schedule is awful, so that's the time that I actually go to sleep too. So I spent the whole day trying to time myself. I was outside, which is a rare occurrence for me. I skateboarded for like 20 minutes, I saw a cute dog there, then I went to the mall, just looked at some stuff that I didn't have the money to buy. Then I went to a garden and that was the best thing ever, right? Like just walking around the garden as I looked at the trees. It was just amazing, beautiful. I sat down to make the playlist for the trip, which unfortunately wasn't long enough, but then it was time to leave. So I got myself some dinner. I ate dinner at 6 and by 7:30 I was trying to sleep. Well, I failed to sleep, but the day before that was amazing, and then the road trip itself was amazing. And those few days made me realize, well, that's more personal, because this has nothing to do with the video itself, it is more, my own struggles, because there was a lot of things that I was thinking about the past few months. But spending some time detached, working on myself away from the things that bothered me, it was kind of helpful, like just walking away and living for a bit. I think it helped quite a bit. Unfortunately, that's not a permanent solution. I can't just get away from everything, right? But I think what I took away from it was the mind state that you're in goes a long way in deciding the mind state that you're going to be in for the rest of the time, right? It's sometimes worth it to focus on just being with yourself away from everything else, Figuring out how to do that is the hard part. I mean, what really helps you disconnect from everything? That's kind of the hard part, because I always thought it was video games. It wasn't. Video games don't really help me disconnect, unfortunately. Naturally, I can't say I have found all the answers here. I'm making this video on a whim. Not because I'm back. I just realized I kept saying I'll make this video after I figured it out, but that's not right. Because I'm never figuring out it out, right? I've decided to get my thoughts out there, close this video, move on. This phase of my life will only last as long as I say it did, so I'm gonna close it. Whether it works or not, we'll have to see. Naturally, I can't promise bi-weekly videos or even ever making another video. As I write the script, I don't even know if I'm gonna edit this video or give it a thumbnail or make it at all. Although, now that I'm recording the audio, I think I just might have a chance at finishing this. I'm not gonna try and make this a good video. I'm just gonna try to get it out and, get it out of the way. If I do more videos, expect the editing quality to be lower, expect the quality overall to be lower. Definitely not holding myself to a high standard anymore, because I don't really care about succeeding or getting an audience or anything like that. It's really just for my own satisfaction at this point. I'm focusing on more things outside of YouTube. I kind of don't have the same amount of time that I used to back then now, because I can't afford to dedicate just as much. I just want it to be kind of a hobby, right? Not work. I'm going to do YouTube because I like doing it, and that means I might not do it as often. That's all there is to it. I thought that's where I was going to end the video, but life is funny, because I kind of get tired of saying this over and over in every video, but every single time, the media that I want, something that I want, just always ends up coming its way to me. First it was me finding that article about the poem, and now it was an anime episode that I just watched. Right as I wrapped up the script, I decided to kick back and relax. I remember there's an anime I was watching a few months ago, and I watched most of the episodes except for the last one. And this last episode has been on hanging for like a few months now. So it was the only one left, and I was like, why not? The anime is Skip and Loafer, and as I mentioned, I'm going to talk about the last episode, so there'll be spoilers. So I would strongly recommend that you just go watch the anime. There's going to be a timestamp to where I'm done talking about spoilers. The anime is just beautiful from start to finish, and something I think everyone should watch regardless of what kind of stuff you're into. It's only 12 episodes long and has helped me so much. I'm not even talking about something that I learned from the anime, it's just the fact that I even came across it was so beautiful to me that I had to include it in this video. But if you haven't watched it and don't want the spoilers, here's a timestamp too where the video continues without spoilers. As I said, anime is just filled with stuff that I relate to, and every episode teaches me something about myself. What I didn't expect was the last episode to also help me, because it was focused on a character that I don't necessarily care about, which is the male protagonist. And that's someone I didn't even pay attention to for the most of the show. I had characters I related to a lot, and the protagonist wasn't one of them. But somehow the finale just made me cry like hell. Because finally I understood what the protagonist's arc was and how it's gonna end, and realized it's kind of similar to where I am in life right now. Kushima had spent his entire life in pursuit of making others happy. He constantly thought about the people around him, doing things for them, and he didn't even understand how to do anything for himself. He doesn't know how to make himself happy, and ultimately he doesn't really know himself at all. Somehow that is the exact same dilemma I was in, because when I was mentioning my past there, I was asking myself what makes me happy and what is good about me, and what sets me apart. And I couldn't really answer any of these things for myself. I don't think the answer is in that anime. I don't think the way things worked out for him is the same way it's gonna work out for me, but it's nice to see someone else struggling with the same thing, and remembering that you're not quite alone in these things as you might think you are. Somehow I end this video having more to say than I knew I did, because I think just writing the script and the reflection it took to write the script, it kind of helped me connect some dots, and that anime episode popping out of nowhere also helped a little bit. The way I see it now, I spend so much time trying to appeal to others, to stick to a bi-weekly routine, to think I have to grow an audience, to think I have to design my personality around the people I talk to keep them happy. I don't know, I'm probably making up a narrative here, one that isn't necessarily for events as they really happen, but honestly, I'm fine with that, I think. I don't know if the poem was supposed to be against this romanticization of your own life, but if it gives me meaning to keep going and find happiness, I'll take it. As for now, I'll try to find what makes me happy, find what doesn't work for me, what I'm doing out of a feeling of necessity. That sense of mindfulness and awareness, that's kind of what I have to go for. More importantly, I just need to find out who I am, and that's going to be a journey, because, I realized the problem was that I'm still not living the life that I want for myself, and I feel pressured into doing these things. But it's not as easy as it is to find these things. I'm probably just really depressed and need, professional help. If I can get it, I'll just have to try, and I'll try to keep talking about how I'm doing and my progress here somehow. Thanks a lot for listening to me rant about my problems. It genuinely means so much to me if you've actually sat through all that. Since barely anyone's gonna watch this part, I'll add this. Oh, I'm not adding that actually. That's gonna be it though. Thanks for sticking around. Bye bye.